policy and procedure requirement. So each financial institution has to have written policies and a procedure to go with it. So the policy should be board approved, 10,000 foot, and then the procedure should be a separate document. So let's just assume that's how you put this together. If so, the procedures need to outline how this is going to be taken and accounted for within your financial institution. So how are we going to identify MLOs? What's our procedure for doing that? Okay, how are we going to notify them of their training requirements and and their responsibilities? That training needs to be ongoing, not necessarily annually, but it's a best practice. If you've got other things that you're checking off on an annual basis, it's good to slide this one in here. Okay? For example, today we're doing 30 minutes. It's not hard to sit down 30 minutes, listen to somebody talk about the SAFE Act, and check that box and move on and do it again the next year. They have to get information about the required use of the unique identifier. That's that number that we'll talk about a little bit later on here. And then confirm and attest to the accuracy of the information, that it's kept up to date and accurate on an ongoing basis. Page 11, monitoring. What's your quality control? And that falls on the SAFE Act officer, likely within your financial institution. So what are we doing to monitor compliance when it comes to these requirements? There needs to be an annual independent test. And so somebody's going to make sure you've checked these boxes on an ongoing basis. That can be somebody internally, can be somebody externally. There's no, either ways, one way is better than the other, but it does have to meet this requirement. The person doing your independent test can't be the SAFE Act officer. It's got to be somebody else. Well, that's tough to do internally sometimes, because who's the person with the most knowledge on your team when it comes to the SAFE Act? Probably the SAFE Act officer. So if you pick somebody else on your team that's not the SAFE Act officer, what's the chances that they have the knowledge level to audit the SAFE Act officer and their program? That can be a tough situation. So it's maybe best left to be an external outsourced item. But again, could be done internally if you've got the right background and resources for that. What are the consequences? Letter G, for non-compliance. Those have to be outlined. How you're going to handle the background screening and meeting those requirements along the way. And then third-party oversight. These things all have to be accounted for within your financial institution's procedures for SAFE Act compliance. Make sure that they're all accounted for and they're being followed accordingly. And there's nothing worse than having a procedure that says, yep, we've met this, we've checked this box, and then that procedure is not actually carried out from a procedural standpoint. So we've got the procedure, but we're not following it. Let's make sure, one, that it's accounted for, and two, that we're following through and that the actual process matches up with the procedure that we've documented.